What is up, YouTube? We're back with another YouTube video, and we're here with a Lost Sector guide for Bunker E15 located in Europa. And you're going to want to look at your destinations and then go to the left side of your map here and go to Europa. Spawn up here at Eventide Ruins, and then when you spawn in, this is pretty much what you're going to see. And all you got to do is drop down, turn around, and go inside this building. And you'll see right here kind of like a little entrance way. And if you see this flag and icon on your map, that means you can start Legend and Master Lost Sectors, I should say. But if you don't see this here and the icon isn't on your map, then you have to keep going down here, go through the regular Lost Sector, kill every enemy, kill the boss, loot the chest at the end, and then you'll unlock Legend and Master Lost Sectors for this Lost Sector. And you can see once you hit a certain point, it'll say Bunker E15. And this will be like your official starting point here, where you just kill everything, make your way to the boss room. And then, like I said, kill the boss, loot the chest at the end, and you should unlock Legend and Master Lost Sectors for this Lost Sector. So, now, we're going to work our way back up here so we can go over the modifiers, and then get to the loadout, and then eventually the gameplay. But now that we're back here, we're going to take a look at the modifiers, and we have shielded foes. You'll face combatants with void shields, and this is a Vex Lost Sector, so these are going to be the Minotaurs. And then locked loadout, extra shields, equipment locked, limited revives, barrier and overload champions, void threat, 25% increase to incoming void damage, shocker when defeated, goblins spawn arc pools that cause damage over time, overcharged weapons. Why does the public event have to start now? I'm gonna let this play out just so. There we go. Overcharged weapons. Weapon overcharges from seasonal artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increased damage when your subclass element matches an active surge. Solar Surge, 25% bonus to outgoing solar damage. And Strand Surge, 25% bonus to outgoing strand damage. And we have Overcharged Grenade Launcher, which is 25% bonus to damage for all grenade launchers. Now, Bunker E15 is recommended power 1830, but 1815 and above you should be fine. And enhancement cores are uncommon, and if completed solo, exotic arms armor is rare. So with all that being said, we're going to go over to the loadout now, and then we'll get into the gameplay. So for Bunker E15 here, we do have Strand and Solar Burn, but as you can see, I'm running Void, and mainly because Overload champions here are really annoying, at least for me. So I kind of changed my whole build around that I was going to use. I was going to use Solar Burn, or solar subclass, I should say, for the solar burn. But then once I saw, the overloads were giving me some trouble, and I thought if I'm going to use a void build, I might as well synergize it with my void subclass. But if you have a solar hunter build or anything like that, by all means, just put whatever you want on. This is not the only build you have to use. This is just what I use to get it done. Void subclass, and we're running Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver, Marksman Dodge, Triple Jump, Snare Bomb, Vortex Grenade, Vanishing Step, and Stylus Executioner. And then we're running Echo of Explosion, Echo of Remnants, Echo of Undermining, and Echo of Reprisal. Now, in terms of my kinetic weapon, I'm running a Pulse Rifle, so we can use Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle for barrier champions. And as well as, this is kind of like my go-to Pulse Rifle as of right now, a Battle Scar, which was introduced this season. And if you can, get a roll that has Kinetic Tremors and save it. Because for me, this is like my go-to Pulse Rifle for endgame content, more or less, when it's dealing with champions, because Kinetic Tremors itself as a perk I think is really useful when it comes to, you might be playing something, especially with Lightfall, how there's tons of red health bar enemies, and if you can get them all next to each other and use something like Kinetic Tremors, you can really throw them off, with the AoE damage, and kind of, work your magic more or less when it comes to dealing with all those adds with one simple perk that is very easy to proc. All you gotta do is get precision hits, and sustain kinetic damage to a target emits a shockwave that damages nearby targets. So you can see, I love this perk. I've been using it for most of my stuff. Every now and then I'll just switch over to like a pulse rifle like Peace of Mind, but Battle Scar, to be honest, is one of my favorites right now. So if you can get a roll with this and Kinetic Tremors, use it. But if you don't, you can use any other pulse rifle. You can use Peace of Mind, you can use whatever your favorite kinetic pulse rifle is, just throw that on and make sure you have barrier champions unlocked in the seasonal artifact. And then in my second slot, we got Le Monarch, which is my favorite. I'm not going to say my favorite bow. Tiku's Divination is my favorite bow, but I will say this is like literally tied with first place when it comes to my favorite bow. It's a void bow, so I can use it very easily with a void subclass and get some good synergy. By default, this has overload champion mod, so you don't have to worry about getting, you know, the overload mod unlocked on your seasonal artifact. This season we happen to have overload bow, but if this wasn't here, this is always going to have overload rounds on it, so you never have to worry about that. This is very strong when it comes to stunning overloads, because if you compare this to using a regular bow, the poison arrows this has is also able to stun champions, and it's pretty much every 2 shots after the initial stun you can get a stun off, and it's way more consistent than using, in my opinion, any other weapon to stun overloads, because if you use an auto rifle, you gotta ADS, you gotta wait for the overload shot to load, and then you have to like spam half of your mag in order to stun the champion, and then by then you have to switch over to your heavy weapon, or if you're throwing a nade, you gotta do something to do damage, and then by the time you go to stun it again, it's gonna heal, it's gonna do all that annoying stuff. So I just recommend using Le Monarch. I'm not a big fan of overload champions. I hate that they're still in the game, but just to get rid of them a little easily, this is what I'm using, and this is what I recommend. So Le Monarch, and if you can get the Catalyst, even better, but if not, Le Monarch is pretty good when it comes to dealing with overloads. Now, when it comes to my heavy weapon, Circular Logic is my go-to strand heavy machine gun. I can't wait to get pretty much a crafted version of this, but as of right now, I mainly just recommend going for one that has hatchling on it, which precision final blows are rapidly defeating targets with non-precision weapon. Final blows spawns a threadling at the target's location. So if you don't know what a threadling is, it's pretty much just like a little creature, I guess you can call it, but it's like strand that jumps from your gun and does like a little explosive damage. So it's pretty useful, because if you're hitting multiple crits back to back to back, you're going to be spawning hatchlings, and these are going to be doing extra damage on top of that. And plus, it's a heavy weapon, does a lot of damage, and it has a large magazine, so you can carry a lot more ammo, especially in reserves. And if you use a grenade launcher or something like that, you might only have 12 in the reserve or 20 compared to 300 something shots that you can carry with a machine gun. So that's why I'm using that, and because of the strand burn as well, since we're going to be doing extra strand damage, I'm going to bring this with me. So for my helmet here, I'm running Ashes to Assets, Kinetic Siphon, and Void Siphon. Kinetic and Void Siphon are going to allow me to generate final blows with rapid weapon final blows from either a kinetic weapon or a void weapon. So in my case, my pulse rifle or my bow that's void. So depending on your playstyle, you either can change element or whatever you're doing. So for example, let's say like in this video, I didn't use my kinetic siphon all that much because I rarely use my pulse rifle. I can switch it to a strand siphon, and that way when I get kills with my machine gun, I generate orbs, and then if I pair that on my legs with a strand weapon surge, I'll get a small bonus damage to my strand weapon. So on top of that, we're dealing extra damage because of the burn, because of the weapon surge, and it's, as you can see, a lot more DPS than normal, but again, that's completely up to you, and it's your choice whether or not you change it or not. So that's why I'm running that. Ashes to Assets is just to gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. Firepower, your grenade final blows create orbs of power. Pretty useful. It's just, we're generating a lot of orbs, and we want to have armor charges, so we're doing whatever we can to generate as many as possible. And then we have 2 grenade kickstart mods, and it says when your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. So that's why we have that. We're trying to always have grenades, that way we can have one way to generate orbs. Now, in my chest piece, this is where my exotic is, and I'm running Falcons. And after being invisible, your void weapons gain volatile rounds. And this is very important because, as you can see, we're running a void weapon, and it's a secondary, it's a bow, and it has infinite ammo pretty much. So if we go invisible and then we come out of being invisible, we'll gain volatile rounds to a void weapon. In our case, that's the Le Monarch. So on top of that, being able to stun champions, we're going to be doing volatile round damage, which is a little extra. And we can also use this to get rid of ads very easily because of the volatile round explosion and stuff like that. So that's why I'm using this. and we have charged up 2 charged up mods, and we have increased the maximum number of stacks of an armor charge you can carry by 1, so we're extending it by 2. And then we have unflinching void aim, and to be honest, I only put this on because my only other option was harmonic resistance, which is reduced incoming void damage from combatants. You can't put that on, but I found for the most part, since there's a lot of enemies, especially the Hydra and the Overloads, they kind of have those weapons that do like a splash damage effect, meaning if you're ADSing and it hits you, you're probably going to flinch, and you don't want to miss crits and stuff like that. So I'm using unflinching void aim, so it reduces flinching from incoming fire while aiming a void weapon. And for the most part, I'm using a bow. So if you, let's say I'm aiming at the champion, he hits me, I flinch, I miss my crit, or I miss the ability to stun him. That's the difference between, you know, wiping in the Lost Sector or just, you know, stunning the champion and making your way through it a lot more efficiently. So it's up to you. If you see that you're taking a lot of extra damage, maybe you don't have 100 resilience and stuff, you can put on harmonic resistance. That way it reduces incoming void damage, but it's completely up to you. But that's what I'm using, unflinching void aim. Then for my legs, better already, and your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an orb of power. Like I said, we're picking up orbs, and at least if we're picking them up and we're generating them, we're going to have benefits to using them, as well as, you know, healing every time we pick one up. So that's why that's there. And then kinetic weapon surge with void weapon surge. And like I said, these are going to allow us to have a small bonus to damage while you have an armor charge. So think of it as being charged with light from before Lightfall came out. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the legs. Then on my cloak, we got a time dilation. We have 2 of them. And this is your decaying armor charge, has a longer duration. And then we have bomber, which reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. So that's everything we got on the armor. And then just if you want to take a look at my artifact, one thing I recommend is obviously get your pulse rifle anti-barrier perk if that's something you're going to do like I'm doing. And then I highly recommend going for shatter orbs, because here we're going to have enemies with void shields, and when you break their void shield with your void bow, you'll get an extra orb to spawn, which is always useful. So that's something I highly recommend taking advantage. And we're also going to be taking advantage of void weapon channeling, and you gain a temporary bonus to void weapon damage after you defeat a target with a void weapon, while at least one of your void abilities is fully charged. And they say this damage bonus increases based on the number of fully charged void abilities you have. So on top of that, we're getting even more damage, and that's pretty much it. If you want to see where that one is at, it's on this last row right here in the middle column. So do with that information as you will. Remember, this isn't the only loadout you have to follow. If you're more comfortable with another build, by all means use that. But now we're going to get straight into the gameplay. Now that we've spawned in, you're going to see we have some enemies here. Now, what you can do is pretty much what I'm doing, and it's just get rid of the red health bars here. They're going to be throwing nades and stuff, being annoying. You can, if you're playing a hunter like me using void subclass, you can go invisible, get a kill with the bow, and then get like these volatile rounds. And I'm really running the Monarch like I mentioned because it has that you can pretty much regularly stun overload champions, you know, and not only does your shot do it, but the void damage that the bow does, like the poison arrows and stuff, those effects can also stun the champion. So you can see I'm doing this no problem. I'm not a big fan of just overload champions in general, whether that be with auto rifles, SMGs. Just for me, this is like my only means of stunning them is with Le Monarch, and this is mainly what I'm using. We're not taking advantage of buffs like I said, except for our what do you call it, heavy weapon with Strand. But to be honest, Le Monarch makes this pretty easy to do, and you know, for not every Lost Sector you don't have to match. Obviously it helps with doing damage and stuff, but I feel like for overload champions, this is my go-to bow. I can't imagine myself stunning them with anything else other than Thunderlord or something. But here we're just gonna go and do this. Get rid of that. Here's our void shield. Okay, that shield's broken. We can take advantage of Shatter Orb from our seasonal artifact and get more orbs here. Picking up these armor charges so you can get that void weapon boost, which is going to make this weapon even stronger than it already is. And mind you, for the most part, we're just killing orange health bar enemies and red health bars, so it's a little overkill, but Still, it's way useful. So you can see. And how you want to use this bow, by the way, is you're going to want to charge it up. And when you see that purple little glowing area when you ADS, like right here, that's when you want to shoot. If you obviously hold it for too long and it's not lit up purple, then you're not going to have that little void effect that, you know, goes to every enemy. So, you know, it's still going to stun champions and stuff, but it's a lot better to take advantage of that little void effect that it does. So once you do this, I highly recommend getting rid of the Cyclops first, because that void damage is going to hurt from this guy. There we go. Now we have a barrier champion, I believe, should be around here somewhere. There's the barrier champion, so I'm just going to take some shots at it until I switch over to my pulse rifle. We do have another Minotaur. You can kind of see the void shield on the side there. There we go. I'm going to throw a nade here because this guy's getting annoying. There we go. I'm going to just keep shooting at the Hobgoblin. And stun. And you can see Kinetic Tremors. I love this perk. Now, I'm going to free some of these prisoners here, the little Braytech soldiers, by shooting these little cage Vex things. I'm not sure what they're called, but Vex cubes, I guess, is a word. But there will be Hobgoblins guarding them, so just try to get rid of those. There would be one on this side, but I'm guessing either I killed it without even noticing, or the AI probably got it. But then make your way over here to the boss room. Now, this is where stuff gets a little hectic, I'm not gonna lie. You got wyverns that spawn, you got the boss that's doing big void damage. So, we're gonna be playing very, very cautious here. You don't have to. We can go invisible and try to jump around and, you know, use that to our advantage. But you can see with the wyverns also doing void damage, I'm not trying to necessarily push my luck in this room. So I am going to just, you know, straight up use my heavy for this guy, since I hate these enemy types. There we go. Just reload. Get rid of all these other enemies. And the boss is going to spawn right here in the middle at some point. Once you clear out all the other red health bars, you can see the lights are going to change. It's going to get all scary. Then I recommend just backing up here, because you're going to have an overload champion that's going to spawn, I believe. I think there's going to be 2 of them by the time we're done with damage, or at least it's one after the other. So I'm just going to pick up this orb, try to get some weapon boost going. You can see I got some heavy to drop, which is good. You can clear out some ads if you want, but also just try to send some shots over here at the Hydra. You can see I'm not really trying to mess around with that damage too much, so I'm going to take some shots, hide. Try to take advantage of this strand burn with my strand heavy weapon. But also remember, this thing can like literally 2-shot you, so try not to stand still or use cover very frequently. You can see it's going to teleport right next to me now, so I'm going to go invisible and hide, because that is very scary. You do not want to be getting hit with that too often. Now you can see I'm just going to hide right here for now, because I still have that overload as well. Take some shots here with the void bow. There's our overload champion that I mentioned, and you can see I didn't even shoot him, but the little void effect from the other red health bar stunned him. But let's see if I can get another stun. There we go. I'm just gonna keep spamming him. And this is really where I would just recommend playing it safe. You can see this guy's doing void damage. He's pretty annoying. And you really don't want to like mess up your run here, especially if you're trying to go solo flawless. You know, you want to play it safe. So you can see I'm just doing it like that. Get the finisher, get rid of him. Okay, then we got some more red health bar enemies here. And then just try to send some shots over at the boss. You can see even though you hit like an immune spot, you can still get some ticks of damage with the void damage. Or I should say the poison arrow. I keep saying void damage, but it's technically poison arrows. But I'm going to switch over to the LMG now. And that's why I love Hatchling as well, because as a perk, it's going to allow you to send an extra, you know, like, piece of damage towards the boss. But you can see with ads, we're going to get rid of these ads, because if they all hit you like at the same time, you have a good chance of pretty much dying. So clear out ads whenever you can, and then go back to doing damage. There's our last overload right here, so I'm going to start. I kind of wish I would have stunned him when he was facing me instead of his back behind me so I can get the crit. I want him to turn around, but I don't want him to heal, so I'm just going to keep doing this. Throw a nade. There we go. Now he's looking at me. Nade's going to get the kill, so bless. Now we should have the boss as the last enemy. We might have like a red health bar somewhere, but I'm going to wait for this arc pool to go away. I'm going to try to jump over it. Pick up some orbs so I can get my armor charge and do some extra strand weapon bonus damage. Now be careful with getting too close because he does have like a knockback attack, as well as he'll just straight up spam you with void damage like that. But other than that, we're done. Pretty much a 7-minute 30-second run. Not bad, but it's gonna say like 7 minutes and 45 seconds. It is what it is, but you can see not that bad of a run with this setup. If you want to use other weapons, by all means go ahead. Let me know down in the comments if you have a better go-to loadout, whether it's for Hunter, Warlock, or Titan. I'd love to just have loadouts for other people just in case if they're playing other classes than me, so they can have some references and stuff like that. But that's going to do it for the video. Like, comment, subscribe, drop a follow on my Twitch, twitch.tv/monkeyjam0. We'll be going live this week, Monday to Friday, so if you want to drop by, would love to, get you guys in the chat. But make sure to ring the bell so you don't miss another video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.